I know people are really eager to hear the story of your Super Bowl ad. So maybe can we take a quick detour down that path? Tell us,
Yeah.
why you did it, how you justified it, and then how you measured it, and then also then why you didn't do it again the next year.
I did actually. I did two. I did 2021 and 2022.
Okay. Sorry.
This is the first year in the last 4 years that we did not do a Super Bowl commercial, kind of a sign of the times, if you wish. But actually, there's an interesting sort of story or lesson to be learned that we kind of fell into a trap in 2021 and could not fully live up to the expectations in 2022. So in 2021, people ask me, Udi, how did you get your CEO and board to agree to investing in a Super Bowl commercial? They're imagining months of negotiations and building a business case, and they're kind of disappointed when I say, hey, I took my CEO to drinks up at Charmaine's on the rooftop, and by the second drink, I said, what do you think about doing Super Bowl this year? And he's like, I'm sold. Let's go twist our CFO's arm tomorrow at the ELT meeting and make it happen. It was that easy. To suggest it to the board, it took an email that we crafted together where we set expectations that we do not expect to see immediate ROI, but we see this as a long-term brand building motion. And I will say that on the budget side, I probably paid less than 10% of the number in your head right now, whatever it is, because I did some homework and learned that even on the Super Bowl, you can buy regional advertising and media versus national. So the national spot is the one that gets all the attention, and everyone knows by now that it costs about $6 million for a 30-second spot mid-game if you buy a national spot. But here's the thing, you could spend $100K and get a decent in-game spot in any area of your liking, like the Bay Area or New York or Boston or Chicago or Seattle. And so by picking and choosing, there are a few dozen regional areas, by picking and choosing and cherry picking the ones where you think you'll get the most bang for your bucks, like I did, I came in at a very decent 6-figure budget for my first Super Bowl commercial, including creative. I was very, very low budget on that. Took one actor, we rented this furniture store as our set to look like an office. It was COVID, so everything was going for cheap. And we had a tiny crew, and we produced a pretty decent commercial in 2021. And so for a very relatively low investment, with expectations that this would be a long-term brand building exercise, we took on the 2021 Super Bowl. And guess what? The Super Bowl day or that week actually, that started on Super Bowl day on Sunday, turned out to be our new record week for pipeline creation at the company. So on the one hand, we were all thrilled, and the CFO became the biggest fan of marketing and brand building, like, whoa, they just did this crazy stunt on the Super Bowl and they created a new record for pipeline build at the company. The problem with that is it created unrealistic expectations for what would come later, and that is kind of the bar that we measure brand campaigns against. And in 2022, we did not see that short-term effect that we were hoping for. By then, several B2B companies had taken inspiration from us and also joined regional Super Bowl advertising. It was not a novelty for us anymore. I spent 3 times more in 2022, making it very difficult to actually show the type of ROI that I showed in 2021, and it did not do as well. So that's part of the reason we did not do Super Bowl 3rd time. So that's kind of the high-level story. Of course, I can dive into any parts if they're interest, but that's kind
I
of
heard a story or an anecdote that one of the things you did was measure what percentage of deals had the word Super Bowl in your calls. Can you talk about that? So
there is wonderful software you may have heard of called Gong. And if you use that software, you can track everything going on in every customer interaction, whether it's in an email or on a phone call or on a Zoom call like this. And we absolutely set up a tracker called Super Bowl, and we listened starting a week before Super Bowl and ending a few weeks after. And we saw the trend line. So obviously before Super Bowl, a few people were talking about, hey, you're going to watch the big game on Sunday. And then on the week of Super Bowl, right after our ad had run, hundreds of sales conversations were talking about our Super Bowl ad, which was an amazing thing to show management and the board, like, this is working. The right people have seen our ad because they're talking about it in our demo and discovery calls. This is fantastic. So that goes back to what Heather was talking about, where she said everything can be measured. To a degree, I would agree. Sometimes you have to get creative about it. So yes, when you see that your biggest pipeline week was during Super Bowl and hundreds of customers are talking about it, even if I can't attribute every single one of them to have seen the ad, that's a pretty good guesstimate that it had a good impact that week. Sometimes it's going to be harder than that.